18th of March 2012, and the Formula One grid forms up in Melbourne for the first race of the season. In 17th spot is Kimi Räikkönen, returning to Formula One after 2 years away and aiming for a second title in the rapidly improving Lotus. Ferrari's Fernando Alonso lines up in 12th position, the double champion hoping to outperform a car that struggled in pre-season testing. 5th and 6th on the grid are the Red Bulls, of reigning champion Sebastian Vettel and local hero Mark Webber, who's out to escape the shadow of his young German teammate. And right at the front are Jenson Button and pole sitter Lewis Hamilton, both champions riding high in what looks like McLaren's fastest car in years. The start lights flash on one by one. Engines roar, excitement builds. The lights go out, and one of F1's greatest years begins. This is how the 2012 Formula One season was won. Hamilton doesn't have it all his own way in Melbourne as Button makes a better start.
Into the first corner goes Jenson Button ahead of Lewis Hamilton.
And dives down the inside to lead after the first turn. When the safety car is deployed later on in the race to retrieve a car that had stopped on the pit straight, Vettel takes advantage to jump ahead too.
Jenson Button goes through.
So he's ahead of Hamilton. He's ahead of Hamilton.
He is going to be ahead of Hamilton.
But a win for Button and third for Hamilton is a strong statement from McLaren, who cement their reputation for having the fastest car on the 2012 grid.
Oh, fantastic. What a great way to start the year, guys. Seriously, fantastic.
22 long seconds after the checkered flag drops, and to Ferrari's relief, Fernando Alonso crosses the line in 5th. But after a torrid pre-season, it's a glimmer of hope for the Scuderia.
There were a lot of people quicker than us, but no one thought that we could finish 5th.
McLaren carry their confidence into qualifying at the next round in Sepang, keeping hold of the momentum to once again lock out the front row. Everyone else is left to cross their fingers that something might rain on McLaren's parade. With just 9 laps gone,
Guys, the circuit's completely flooded.
the grid is forced to wait out one of Malaysia's famous downpours.
Confirming red flag, race has been suspended.
That is the action on the track, done for a while.
And it seems the tides have turned when at the restart it all starts to come apart for McLaren. Hamilton has trouble in the pits.
How do you feed a car back into that lock? But the rear jack was an age going underneath the car as well. It was an awful pit stop for Lewis Hamilton.
While Button locks up on the greasy asphalt and crashes into a back marker.
Absolute horror of horrors. Look up there.
In the confusion, Alonso surges through into an unlikely lead, with Sauber's Sergio Perez hot on his heels. Vettel too is hoping to make headway on the leader, but suffers a puncture while lapping another car.
That's not working out for him this season, is it?
A stop for new tyres means the highest he can place is 11th. Back at the front, Alonso is under constant pressure from Perez, but when the Mexican slides wide, he has a free run to an unexpected victory. Relief in Australia turns to joy in Malaysia as Ferrari begin to believe that they might just be in contention after all.
It's one of the most beautiful. We are so proud of you. So proud of you and of the team.
Malaysia is a place that I love. I won with Renault, I won with McLaren, and now I won with Ferrari, so it's third win with 3 different cars. Very proud.
It's a quiet race for Alonso next time out, only managing 9th around the Shanghai circuit. The race is won comfortably by Nico Rosberg, who takes his first ever victory and Mercedes' first win since 1955. 20 seconds behind him come the 2 McLarens, followed by the 2 Red Bulls. 5th placed Vettel, whose dominance in the previous season seems to have slipped away, can only express his frustration.
We had absolutely no straight line speed whatsoever the whole race. Ridiculous.
Vettel turns up in Bahrain with a new exhaust and a fresh attitude. The 2-time champion knows he's at his best when he's at the front of the pack. and is determined to return to his winning ways. He takes pole on Saturday and storms off into the lead on Sunday. He has to fight for his position though, as Kimi Räikkönen charges up from 11th on the grid and is soon all over the back of the Red Bull.
The Lotus, the Red Bull, second, first, stays in second place, weaving all over the rear. Sebastian Vettel's not going to let that happen.
But the day belongs to Vettel, who banishes the demons of the last two races to rediscover his winning ways.
Yes, baby! Yes, we got it!
Räikkönen couldn't make his moves stick, but second place ahead of his teammate shows that Lotus's car is a force to be reckoned with. While Red Bull and Lotus celebrate, McLaren and Ferrari commiserate. Button retires with mechanical issues.
Very loud here, very loud.
Okay, Jensen, we're going to have to retire the car.
Yeah, pretty disastrous day, really.
And Hamilton is hampered by another bad pit stop.
What happened there, guys?
Problem with left rear.
Yeah, not a great day.
Alonso struggles to keep up with the pace of the competition, finishing in 7th. And it's his turn to feel the frustration after a contentious duel with Nico Rosberg.
Okay, he pushed me off the track. I think you have to leave a space. All the time you have to leave a space.
He's still angry about the incident at the start of the European season in Spain. An opportunity not lost on Vettel.
Fernando made it pretty clear. He said you have to leave it the space. All the time you have to leave it the space.
On qualifying day, Hamilton takes pole by almost half a second. But he's immediately relegated to the back of the grid due to fuel irregularities,
Serious problem?
leaving Williams' Pastor Maldonado to take an unlikely pole position, 6 places higher than he'd ever qualified before.
I have to smile in the face of adversity, you know.
Alonso lines up second. He's eager to return to the top step of the podium, and a near-perfect start catapults him past the Venezuelan at the first corner.
There's Fernando Alonso into the lead by the time they get into turn 2. He's done it again, the local hero.
But the Williams crew sense a chance to win their first race since 2004.
Okay, just keep this gap to Fernando and to Räikkönen behind. You're doing a very good job. Okay, Pastor, that will be box now.
A lightning-fast tyre change helps Maldonado jump past Alonso in the pits.
Just keep Alonso behind, curve the DRS, look after the tires.
And despite late pressure from the Ferrari, he goes on to take a sensational and unexpected victory.
Another different winner, a new winner in Formula 1. It's Pastor Maldonado.
Very good job, guys. Very good job.
2 weeks later, it's time for the Monaco Grand Prix, the glamorous jewel in Formula 1's crown. It's a daunting track that rewards the brave and the experienced. 7-time champion Michael Schumacher takes a surprise pole position that is cheered by the fans and the paddock alike.
Qualifying here as a percentage is much more important than in other tracks, because here overtaking is so limited.
But it's a short-lived celebration, as he knows he has a grid penalty for causing an avoidable accident in Spain.
Oh, it's Michael Schumacher off and into the gravel, head in his hands, and he might have had a coming together with Bruno Senna.
It's bittersweet for F1's all-time record pole sitter. This leaves previous Monaco Grand Prix winner Mark Webber at the front. The Australian is forced to go on the defensive by a hard-charging Rosberg, and in the last 10 laps, he has to hold back a nose-to-tail train of 5 other cars. But it's notoriously difficult to pass around the streets of Monte Carlo, and Webber goes on to take the checkered flag.
It's Mark Webber who wins the Monaco Grand Prix.
Fantastic, Mark. You've won the Monaco Grand Prix again. Well done. Great try.
What a day for me. Thanks, guys, for giving it to me.
Uninvolved in the chain ahead is Jenson Button, who first spins at the swimming pool chicane and then suffers a puncture during an attempted overtake at Sainte Voigt.
I got a puncher.
While Button tries to work out where his season is going wrong, Webber takes the customary jump into the Red Bull floater home swimming pool and celebrates being back in the championship running. grid jets off to Canada for round 7 in Montreal, where Vettel qualifies just ahead of Hamilton and Alonso.
Just 3 points separating the top 3 drivers. It's away we go in Montreal. It's a decent start by Vettel.
Vettel with a sensible lead already.
He pulls out a 2-second gap at the start, but is soon being reeled in by the 2 behind.
Box. Talk about what box.
The first phase of pit stops come around, and when the dust has settled, it's now Alonso who leads, ahead of Hamilton and Vettel. But it's Hamilton who looks fastest on the new tyres, and the Briton immediately attacks Alonso on the straight. He takes the lead, then starts to pull away. All 3 drivers plan to stop again, but with Hamilton seemingly comfortable at the front, both Red Bull and Ferrari think about trying something different. With Alonso switching languages over the radio in order to keep his opponents guessing. Hamilton pits, but Alonso and Vettel stay out. They'll be slower than the McLaren, but know that he'll have to catch and overtake them for the win. Hamilton puts the pedal down. As the race wears on, the tyres begin to wear out, and soon the 2 ahead are easy pickings for the flying McLaren. First he passes Vettel.
Great job, Lewis. 2.6 seconds to Alonso now.
Then Alonso.
Hamilton then, the tyre strategy paying off.
He takes the checkered flag for his first victory of the season and snatches the lead of the championship.
It's 7 out of 7 different winners in 2012.
Yeah, boys! We finally did it. We finally got a win.
What a great feeling. This is. I knew today would be a tough race, but I loved every single minute of it, and really very, very grateful.
The gamble doesn't pay off for either Vettel or Alonso, and they're pushed out of the podium positions by Romain Grosjean and Sergio Perez.
Be right on board with the Sauber. Alonso's there for the taking again, and he's gone from leader to outside the podium in 4 laps here in Canada.
It's even worse for Button. The former championship leader crosses the line in 16th place, a lap behind his teammate. With just 2 points from the last 4 races, the others are leaving him in their dust.
I didn't really know what to expect, but I didn't expect that, no. Today I was probably 1.5–2 seconds off of the pace.
At the top, it's all to play for. Hamilton leads by just 2 points over Alonso and 3 over Vettel, with Webber only 6 further behind. 7 races, 7 winners. The 2012 season is crying out for someone to take the reins. And at the next race in Valencia, that man will start to make his mark. Time runs out at the end of qualifying 3 in Valencia. Sebastian Vettel has just impressed the paddock by qualifying 4/10 of a second ahead of second-placed Hamilton. And it looks like the Red Bull will be nigh on unbeatable come race day.
Oh, yes! Oh, yes! We did the right thing in the end. Oh, that was good. That was a challenge, boys. Oh, thank you. Woo!
Watching on the TV screens is Fernando Alonso, eliminated in the previous qualifying session thanks to a tactical error by his team. And due now to line up 11th on the grid. It's not the way he was hoping his second home race of the year would go. Race day. The lights go out and Vettel powers off to prove his qualifying form was no fluke. His old dominant ways die hard. At the end of the first lap, he's 2 seconds ahead. Next time around, the gap is up to 4. Hamilton can do nothing to stop the Red Bull disappearing into the distance.
Grosjean, 45.7. You just need to match his pace, no more. You're plus 20, Grosjean.
Some way behind, with the home crowd roaring him on, Alonso is already up 4 places to 7th. Vettel's lead is up to 20 seconds before contact further down the field leaves debris scattered across the track.
Box this lap, confirm.
The safety car is deployed and most drivers pit for fresh tyres. Yet again, Hamilton's stop is slow.
That's another calamitous stop for Lewis Hamilton in 2012. They've gone from a sub-3 second pit stop to a plus 14 second.
And as the field closes up, Vettel is in the lead, with Grosjean second and, to the joy of the fans, Alonso in third. The race restarts and he's immediately up into second, but he can't match the pace of Vettel ahead. Then...
And look at that, Vettel's going slowly.
And Vettel's got a major problem. Fernando Alonso leads.
Alonso's fans can't believe what they're seeing.
They're going absolutely wild in the stands here. He is out of this race. Oh, Adrian Newey with his head in his hands. Spain with their hands in their air.
And their day gets even better when championship leader Hamilton is pushed into the barriers by Pastor Maldonado.
They come perilously close together. Oh, they do touch, and Hamilton goes off into the barriers. Maldonado squeezes through, and Hamilton's race is over, and he slams the steering wheel in frustration.
Alonso is left to race unchallenged to the finish. He takes the checkered flag.
Hey, congrats.
And then, the Spanish one. He becomes the first driver to win 2 races in 2012. But more importantly, with both Vettel and Hamilton failing to score, he now leads the championship by 20 points. It's the biggest lead of the season so far. Next time out at Silverstone, Alonso is back at the front of the grid and making the most of his momentum.
Fernando Alonso, the championship leader, stands on pole position. It's lights out and away we go at Silverstone, and Alonso and Webber almost crashing as Alonso cuts over to the right-hand side.
It doesn't go all his way in the race, as a clever strategy from Red Bull allows Mark Webber to make a late race overtake for the win.
Webber swoops past round the outside of Brooklands. Mark Webber leads the British Grand Prix.
Checkered flag this time round.
Webber's second win of the season cements his second place in the championship.
Fantastic. Brilliantly controlled race.
Hey, thanks guys. It's another great day for us. Yeah, great day for me.
But second on the road is still a good haul of points for Alonso, and he extends his lead over both Vettel and Hamilton. And the Spaniard is back at the top again at the next round in Germany, leading away from pole and taking his 3rd win of the year. Vettel finishes second on the road, but in another setback learns he's under investigation for overtaking Jenson Button off the track.
Yeah, I take my racing line, give him enough room, and then suddenly, oh, he's driven off the circuit, and he's passed me on the outside.
Did he not just pass me off the circuit?
Yes, Jenson, the FIA are aware.
But no, I said to him, just so you know, the stewards will be looking at the manoeuvre at the hairpin. I thought I'd give him a heads up.
Sorry?
They are going to investigate your overtake, by the way.
I didn't know whether you are inside or not, so that's why I left.
The reigning champion is handed a 20-second penalty and is demoted to 5th. Hamilton is even less impressed with his race. He receives a puncture early on.
I've got a problem from flat tyre.
The box is flat. We have a puncture. We have a puncture.
That's it, guys. We should retire.
There's a long way to go in this race yet. Long way to go in this race yet.
And despite his team's efforts, is later forced to retire with suspension issues. With just 4 points from the last 3 races, his championship hopes are in desperate need of a jump start. And just before F1 heads off for the summer break, he gets it, taking pole position at the Hungaroring before driving a controlled race to take the win.
It's Lewis Hamilton for the 19th time in Formula One, a hat-trick of wins in Budapest.
Amazing job, guys. Really fantastic. Those guys are so quick, but we managed to do it.
Behind him, some aggressive racing by Kimi Räikkönen sees the Finn take 2nd place for his 5th podium finish of the year, while Vettel can only manage to finish 4th. Alonso is 5th, but with Webber crossing the line 8th, he still extends his championship lead. The Ferrari driver heads off into the summer break with a 40-point cushion and one eye on his third world title. Five weeks later, the F1 grid comes together at the legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit to start the second half of the season. Jenson Button is on pole, his first for over 3 years. The rest of the championship contenders line up towards the middle of the grid and, as it will turn out, right in the firing line.
Here we go then, 5 lights ahead of the drivers.
The lights go out. And Romain Grosjean rolls the dice.
Oh dear, Romain Grosjean and Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton all coming to grief at the source.
The accident knocks out 5 drivers, including both Alonso and Hamilton.
Okay, Lewis, are you okay?
Yeah, okay.
That was a nasty incident, and it's cost Perez, Alonso, Hamilton and Grosjean very dearly indeed.
The Ferrari driver is inches away from serious injury as Grosjean's car sides past his head.
I'm sure that it is a little help for everybody to remind what the respect we need to have for each of us.
I made a mistake. I thought I was in front of Lewis, and basically I was not. And then we touched, and there were some big incidents. But as I say, I'm very happy that nobody gets hurt, and I think we have to learn from that and move on to become better.
With a strong car underneath him and a number of challenges already out of the picture, Button goes on to cruise untroubled to victory.
What a race, guys. Oh, amazing. Amazing.
He's left wondering where his championship challenge could have been if the first half of the season had gone to plan. Vettel, who started 10th, takes advantage of the Turn 1 crash to finish in a welcome second place.
First corner was behind Heikki.
He overtakes teammate Webber for second in the championship and takes an 18-point bite out of Alonso's lead. A sea of red-clad Tifosi arrives in Monza a week later to roar for their Ferrari heroes. The cars leave the pits for their final runs in Q3. The crowd are fired up. They know their man has the strongest car around this temple of speed. But their hopes are dashed. A broken anti-roll bar on Alonso's car means the Spaniard can only scrape his way to a lowly 10th on the grid.
No, something was broken in the car in Q3, so I think we lost the most easy pole position of the year, but we lost too much performance, and we'll see tomorrow.
This leaves the 2 McLarens to lock out the front row, continuing their mid-season run of pace. Alonso has proved before that he can fight his way back from a bad position. Here at his team's home race, he's even more determined. By the end of the first lap, he's up to 7th. Next time around, it's 6th. As the pit stops come around, he's all over the back of Vettel. And on lap 26, tries to power around at the famous Curva Grande.
So, last pass, Sebastian Vettel, out through the Curva Grande, he's even further in the grass than Vettel was last year.
Okay, that's enough. No, that's enough. We saw that. It's very clear what happened. Okay, I'm at 330 kilometers an hour. Okay.
Alonso makes it stick next time around, but Vettel's hard defense earns him a drive-through penalty.
Sebastian, we have a drive-through penalty.
I told you I didn't push him on the grass. There was enough room.
And the German's race gets worse soon after.
Stop the car, we need to save the engine. Same problem as P3, stop the car.
Stop the car.
And he breaks down with his Renault engine's dreaded alternator failure.
Just like P3, same problem, same location.
And to cap off a terrible race for Red Bull, Webber spins so badly that he destroys his tyres.
Box, box, box. Box, box, box.
With little reason to continue, he comes back to the pits to retire.
Oh, look at this, we've got a McLaren now. Jenson Button pulling over.
Button also retires with a fuel pressure issue.
Yeah, no drive, engines off.
Leaving McLaren crossing their fingers that the same fate would befall Hamilton at the front. McLaren hold their breath as Hamilton comes under fire from Sergio Perez in the closing laps. But both he and his engine keep their nerve, and he takes the checkered flag to win.
Fantastic job, mate. Brilliant, brilliant. Great day yesterday. Fantastic drive today.
20 seconds after the winner, Alonso crosses the line to take third. When he steps onto the famous Monza podium, the sea of red below hails another wonder drive from their star. His recovery from 10th bags him 15 valuable points and extends his championship lead back up to 37. With just 7 races to go, it looks like only a dominant run of form by one of the 3 remaining contenders can get in the way of Alonso winning his 3rd title.
Do you feel the championship is just slipping away a little bit at the moment?
Things can change quickly, so I don't see a reason why it should change now.
The grid gathers under the lights of Singapore's Marina Bay circuit for the first of the 7 final flyaway races. Raikkonen lines up 12th. The Finn hasn't won a race in 2012, but thanks to having scored points at 12 of the 13 races so far, he's still well in the hunt. Alonso sits in 5th. The 37 points is a healthy buffer, and he knows that the even pace at the front should work in his favour. Vettel starts in 3rd. At this point in the previous season, he'd won 8 races. In 2012, he's won just 1. He needs to rediscover his dominant streak, but is being held back by a fragile engine and a tendency to lose his cool under pressure. Hamilton is on pole. His car is fast, and he's even with Alonso on 3 wins each. But a combination of mechanical failures and pit stop errors have stripped him of valuable points so far.
And the lights go on. It's the 5 red lights we're looking for. It's lights out and away we go in Singapore.
Hamilton streaks away. He's the quickest car on track, and it's notoriously difficult to overtake around the streets of Singapore. It's his race to lose. But on lap 16, McLaren receive a worrying radio message.
Not each shift. Every single shift.
Understood, Lewis. We're looking into it. Keep going. Pace is good, and we are looking at target stop.
Looks like Hamilton's car is losing oil. Hamilton's car is losing oil.
On lap 23, his gearbox gives up entirely.
What's happened to Lewis Hamilton now? Stuck in neutral.
That's cruel luck.
No gears for Lewis Hamilton. It now looks like it's all over. The Singapore Grand Prix is a cruel mistress once again. Hamilton's race is done. Sebastian Vettel takes over the lead.
Well, we talked about this being a pivotal race for the championship. It certainly is now.
Vettel sweeps past to take the lead. Holding his nerve against a charging button, he goes on to take the victory. His first since Bahrain.
You beauties have well done. You've won the Singapore Grand Prix again. You're back in this championship. Well done.
Yes! We did it! This one is for you in all the heat, all weekend.
Alonso comes home 3rd, his championship lead now down to 29 points.
As soon as Hamilton dropped out of that race, it turned the championship significantly around. And still Alonso's in there picking up the points.
Obviously I'm not a genius, but I can make that out myself, that it looks 10 points better than before. So yeah, Fernando is the target obviously in the next couple of races. We've seen you know, how quickly things can change.
We have a difficult weekend. We're struggling. We didn't have the pace because we finished in front of Raikkonen, Hamilton and Webber. We only lost points with Vettel. So, as I said, after a difficult weekend, only losing points with one of them is I think, a good news. But we need to improve. We were not quick enough, and we need to improve this situation.
Welcome along then to the Japanese Grand Prix. Round 15 out of 20. We have 6 more races to go in the 2012 World Championship.
Vettel arrives in Japan with a newfound determination and takes his 4th successive Suzuka pole.
And P1, pole position. Good job, mate.
The championship leader can only manage 6th on the grid, 1 position ahead of Raikkonen. Hamilton, who's struggling to regain his edge after the disappointment in Singapore, lines up 8th.
And Alonso will be trying for one of his mega starts today, that's for sure.
We have 5 lights on, it's lights out and away we go.
From the start, Vettel fires off into the distance. Behind him, Alonso is caught up in the middle of the pack. As he and Raikkonen head into the first corner, the two briefly touch.
There goes the Ferrari off the track! It's a dreadful start this spinning round! Fernando Alonso is out of this race, and that 29-point championship lead, well, that's going to get wiped out now.
It's just his 2nd DNF of the season. He can only watch on as Vettel goes on to dominate, leading every lap and setting the fastest lap of the race.
Okay, you've got your fun now bring it home.
Vettel waves to the fans, the checker flag waves for him, Sebastian Vettel wins the Japanese Grand Prix, and it really is game on!
Oh, yes baby, yes baby! Oh, 53 laps, an amazing car, thank you for that, boys. You know when you're dreaming at night, this is what you're dreaming about, race a car like this once in your life. Thank you, boys, great job.
Alonso's retirement and Vettel's win hand the maximum 25-point swing to the reigning champion. In 2 races, he's won twice and brought the lead ahead down to just 4 points, the smallest gap since the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yeah, I think we've seen this year there's a lot of up and down and things can change quickly, so we have to keep our head down and try to really go step by step and not think too far ahead.
At the next race in South Korea, Vettel makes it 3 in a row.
It's the hat-trick, and with it, the championship leads. Sebastian Vettel wins the Korean Grand Prix.
Woo-hoo! Yes! Woo-hoo! Thanks, boys. Great race.
Hamilton scores just 1 point thanks to a broken anti-roll bar and debris damaging his aerodynamics. He slips even further behind Raikkonen in the championship.
It's real sad we're pretty much out of the championship today, but sometimes these races show your true spirit within, so I feel quite comfortable with myself that I pushed and gave it everything.
Well, they're not in the stalls, but the horsepower is lined up on the grid.
Vettel makes it 4 from 4 in India, once again taking pole and leading every lap.
It is Sebastian Vettel on top.
Alonso fights his way up from 5th, overtaking both McLarens and Webber in the process, but it's damage limitation for Ferrari.
It's Sebastian Vettel who has led from start to finish and wins the Indian Grand Prix.
Good job, mate.
Vettel lifts the trophy to celebrate his maximum 100 points. But Vettel comes back down to earth with a bump in qualifying for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He sets the 3rd fastest time.
Okay, Sebastian, you're P3.
But receives a message from his team as he's returning to the pits.
Stop the car, stop the car. Okay, stop the car on track. You want them easier.
Stop between 18 and 19.
Understood.
Insufficient fuel in the tank means that he's demoted to the back of the grid for the race. Alonso will start 14 places ahead of him. A huge blow to his ambitions in a championship that's on the edge. Red Bull tried to make the most of a bad situation, opting to start their driver from the pit lane. This will allow them to make setup changes to Vettel's car, which could help him in the race, and will keep him away from any first corner incidents.
how Sebastian Vettel would like to be in the picture we're watching at the moment, but he's in the pit lane, his first and most crucial penalty of the season.
The race starts.
It's lights out and away we go.
And Hamilton leads away at the front from Raikkonen, Maldonado and Alonso, while the midfield comes together at turn 1.
There's contact between Senna and Hülkenberg right at the first corner. Lewis Hamilton way out of trouble.
Vettel, avoiding the chaos, emerges from the pit lane and joins the fight. He's already up 5 places by the time he makes a move on Bruno Senna, but in his haste, the two make contact, and Vettel damages his front wing.
Sebastian, there is damage on your right-hand side. We can't see it. It's up to you if you want to pit. We're ready for you.
This doesn't dent his resolve, and he continues to force his way up the field.
So far, other than a bit of front wing damage, going okay for Sebastian Vettel.
Good job, Sebastian. Next 2 cars ahead are the Toro Rossos.
He's up to 12th by lap 9, when a spectacular collision between Nico Rosberg and Narain Kartikeyan brings out the safety car.
Safety car, stay out. Safety car, stay out.
And both drivers okay, which is great to see. The field now closes down. Concertinas together.
The train of cars bunch up along the main straight, and drivers begin to weave to keep their tyres warm. Vettel is caught out by Daniel Ricciardo in front of him and takes evasive action, straight through a DRS board.
What is he doing? He's stopping all the time. I hit the front wing, I hit DRS line, so check the front wing please. It's definitely damaged now.
Red Bull decide to bring him back in for a nose change.
Pit this now. Talk that one box. Talk one box.
He comes out of the pits and rejoins the train of cars at the very back in 21st place. The race restarts, and back at the front Hamilton leads away. Vettel quickly makes an attack. Back at the front, Hamilton once again pulls to the side of the track, this time with a fuel pressure problem.
The engine just shut off, so I guess the engine blew.
Yeah, okay, understood, Lewis. I'm really sorry about that. That was definitely in the back. Can't believe it. Okay.
Kimi Raikkonen inherits the lead with Alonso chasing hard, a fact that seems to bother him less than it does his team.
Okay, Kimi, next car behind you is Alonso. Alonso 5 seconds behind you. I'll keep you updated on the gap. I'll keep you updated on the pace.
Just leave me alone, I know what to do.
Vettel continues on his stampede, making overtake after overtake after overtake. He's helped by contact ahead.
Oh! Grosjean hits Perez and then Mark Webber gets collected.
But by lap 38, he's raced his way up to 4th and is chasing down Button ahead.
He's on fresher, soft compound tyres.
With 4 laps to go, he makes his move for the podium.
Away here goes Sebastian Vettel on Jenson Button. Through the chicane they go, they're wheel to wheel, they haven't touched yet. Sebastian Vettel gets himself up into 3rd place. What a drive this has been.
Raikkonen crosses the line to take his first win of the season, closely followed by Alonso.
Oh, shocking. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, thanks guys. Great job.
Not long after, Vettel comes past to seal an incredible 3rd position.
Yes! Yes, yes, yes!
Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable.
I love you, boys.
With 2 races to go, there are only 50 points left up for grabs. Despite taking a hard-fought win, Raikkonen drops out of the championship chase. Only 2 drivers remain to fight it out for the championship: Alonso and Vettel.
Did you honestly believe you could be standing here this afternoon, starting from the pit lane?
Yes, I did, to be honest with you.
The 2 rivals receive an American welcome at Circuit of the Americas for the Texas Track's inaugural race.
So, by the looks of it, it looks quite interesting, but you know, it's always the feeling you get inside the car, which I think is most important, so I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Vettel takes the upper hand on Saturday, scoring pole position. Alonso qualifies way back in 8th, and on the slower, dirty side of the grid, a significant disadvantage on the brand new asphalt. In response, Ferrari make a strategic call to break the FIA seal on Felipe Massa's gearbox. This hands the Brazilian a 5-place grid penalty, but moves teammate Alonso up to 7th, and crucially, onto the clean side of the grid. The gambit works when the lights go out, with Alonso jumping up the order at the start.
Ferrari will take huge amount of stick for the trick they played to get Alonso up the field, but it's worked beautifully. He's up into 4th place.
Vettel starts well, but can't hold back a charging Hamilton, who passes both Red Bulls to take the lead.
And Lewis Hamilton moves into the lead at this US Grand Prix.
And when Mark Webber's Red Bull retires with a broken alternator once again...
Pierce has failed. P0 if you can, but P0.
Mark Webber is out of this race.
Alonso moves up into 3rd spot.
Lewis Hamilton sees the checkered flag and wins in Austin.
That was amazing, guys.
Hamilton crosses the line just 0.6 of a second ahead of Vettel.
Sebastian Vettel right behind him to come home in 2nd place.
And a 3rd for Alonso keeps him in the hunt. It's down to the wire as the two head to the last race in Brazil. The F1 circus arrives in Sao Paulo for the final round of the season. Vettel leads the championship with 273 points. He knows that he can lose 13 to his rival and still become a triple world champion.
I think we can be, as confident as we could in this stage. Obviously, we know there's a lot ahead.
Alonso, meanwhile, needs to finish on the podium to stand any chance of taking the title.
This is Formula One. This is a sport, and anything can happen until the checkered flag.
The weekend starts badly for Alonso. He can only manage 7th on the grid, 3 places behind 4th-placed Vettel. The grid forms for the final time in 2012. Alonso's chances hang by a thread. He can see his title rival ahead, and he knows that he needs something big to happen at the start. The lights go out, and Alonso sees his chance.
And away we go for one more time in 2012. Fernando Alonso goes round the outside, and Sebastian Vettel has already lost places, getting caught in no man's land on the inside.
The Ferrari jumps up to 5th, while a poor starting Vettel drops down to 7th. 4 turns later, it gets worse for the German.
Sebastian Vettel in the middle of the track.
He's lucky not to be hit as the rest of the field charges past in front of him.
It's the worst possible scenario for Sebastian Vettel.
He gets back underway, but rejoins the race in 22nd place with damage to his car's floor and exhaust.
Sebastian, there's visible damage, but stay out to see how the car behaves. We cannot fix it.
Vettel has a mountain to climb to win the championship. He begins the ascent. Back at the front of the race, Nico Hülkenberg tries to force his way past Lewis Hamilton for the lead. The move dumps Hamilton out of the race and hands Hülkenberg a drive-through penalty.
Unbelievable! Hamilton out of the race with damage to his McLaren.
Jenson Button takes over the lead, and Fernando Alonso moves up into 2nd.
And Alonso into World Championship taking position then.
Vettel pushes his Red Bull even closer to the edge. Then the rain starts to fall. He dives into the pits to the surprise of his team.
It's a horrible stop for Sebastian Vettel. It all went wrong for Red Bull. He came into the pits, but no tyres were ready for him. It must have been a late call.
The slow stop means he drops back once again and re-emerges in 10th position. But despite the setbacks, Vettel knows that he's going to the end on these tyres. With 2 of the cars ahead likely to pit, he's effectively running in 8th place. The only thing that stands in his way is Kamui Kobayashi, a driver known for his aggressive on-track battles. Alonso, meanwhile, can see his title chances driving away up the road. A win would likely be good enough for the championship. But Button ahead is pulling out a gap. Vettel is on a charge. His pass on the Sauber gives him the coveted 7th place. All he needs to do now is keep it on the track for 13 more laps, and the title is his.
And Vettel ahead now, Kobayashi on those intermediate.
He's back into championship position.
The conditions get worse and worse, with water pooling on the track and spray limiting visibility.
Heavy rain in turn 12. Heavy rain, turn 12.
It doesn't bother Vettel though. He's the quickest car on track, a fact that stretches his team's nerves to breaking point.
Sebastian, you're a second faster than the next fastest car. There's a big gap to the car ahead. Just keep it on the black stuff.
He soon pulls up behind seven-time champion Michael Schumacher, who, racing in his last ever Grand Prix, pulls over to allow his fellow German through to sixth. The laps count down one by one. And when a huge crash for Paul di Resta brings out the safety car.
Paul di Resta has crashed right at the final turn here. Double wave yellows. It's a safety car.
Alonso's fading hopes are washed away altogether. The safety car train takes the checkered flag, and Sebastian Vettel is a three-time world champion.
You're the world champion! You're the triple world champion, Sebastian Vettel! You are the man! You're a triple world champion!
I love you! Yeah! Yes, we did it!
3 Constructors' titles in a row, 3 Drivers' Championships in a row. It's trebles all round for Red Bull. Second for Alonso, another podium finish for the man who's just given it everything in that Ferrari, but sadly it wasn't quite enough on the day.
Today they tried everything to, throw everything at us, but we never gave up, and I think it will take time to, sink in properly what has happened today. I think it was, in a way, the most difficult race we faced. The radio didn't work. We got spun around in the first lap. We were dead last. So unbelievable.
I've been fighting for 5 World Championship until the last race. I won 2 and 3 I lost, but I'm proud. I'm proud of my career so far, and I'm sure that if I leave the sport with 2, 3, 4, whatever, I will be proud, and I'm still thinking that hopefully it will be soon.
And that is how the 2012 Formula One season was won.
Yeah!